It's Ben here from Second Dynasty. Back for a stream. Last week we were absent due to the fact that it was a national holiday here in Sweden, midsummer, which is basically a big piss up. But having recovered from my 4-day hangover, I am now back at it. And with me today, I of course have Zorima in the background. Say hello, Zorima.
Hello.
You sound.
And it was not a holiday in the United States, but I took a break anyway.
Which is only fair enough. So today we apparently have a few questions to address. We're gonna. Zorima, do you want to maybe go through what we have planned for today?
Give me a second to post up these links.
Sure. So, in any case, I'm going to do a tour of the most recent internal work of the Notinante. We're going to add some links to the chat that will point to where you can get my stuff. And in the coming weeks, we'll even have a place so that you can reserve a reminder on let's see, on Kickstarter. So as we get closer to actually launching, there are some possible hindrances that might push it back towards the end of July or even August, mostly because the painting is going to take a bit longer than we've anticipated. And but yeah, definitely over the summer there will be a launch of this ship in 28mm scale. You can see a part of it.
Question, Ben, do you want to post up the link still for the Kickstarter 4 that we completed?
Yeah, why not? Post a link to Kickstarter 4, because if anyone actually wants to pick up stuff, we still have the pledge manager open there, and it's going to be open a while longer. Basically that'll be open until we start Starship 5. So it is a chance to get our past ships in bulk, and the Kickstarter versions rather than the normal commercial versions, which you'll find on my my mini factory link. So we've got seconddynasty.com as well. Might give you just a better overview of what the ships are and the details, a little bit more information than what you can get on my mini factory. But that's basically where the store is and where you'll be downloading models after the Kickstarter is finished. All right, are we missing anything?
No, the links I posted up here basically is a link to our Discord at the top, followed by the link to Ben's main web page for where all his stuff's listed, and then a link on my mini factory, which allows you to single out some individual items, pick through, view things in that format if you like. And then the last link I posted up there is the link for the Kickstarter 4 week that was completed. And I think all the models and stretch goals and all that stuff is done for that. Is that not correct, Ben?
Yeah, Starship 4 is completely finished at this point in time.
Right. And we're currently working on 5, which is what the model is on the screen that you see currently, which is a vertical takeoff Rosinante-like ship. There's been a number of questions in some of the boards I've been on asking about whether it was Rosinante-like and whether we were going to have internal spaces and how they were set up, and the rigmarole of the internal like rooms and that sort of thing, which actually I think Ben has some stuff to show and progress on that work now. There was also let's leave with that, and then I'll go to the other questions after that. How's that, Ben?
You want to
say on that?
Yeah. So this week I've been a bit busy. Doing a little bit of, you can see actually some of the features such as the PDCs on the ship. These are all printable, articulated. They're on the model. You can see a part of it behind me there. That's the cut down to size because I've actually got it opened up at the moment trying to plan out the insides. I've had a couple of misprints. and nozzle clogs, which I wasn't pleased about since I was off yesterday and had a 22-hour print. Got back to the office this morning and, hey, about 20 layers are done, and then the nozzle clogged. Woo! In any case, it's going now in the background, so that's what that noise is. I've been a busy boy, I promise, but as with many things of quality, they actually take a while to do. What you're seeing already is probably a culmination of 3 months worth of work, which is about the time I usually put into one of my ships. And if I switch over to this perspective mode here, just so it's the other one's got the camera in a different orientation. Basically, you can see a little bit better here the deck layout. Zoroma and I have actually been working on lighting a lot this week, and we've got the materials on the way, so we should be able to start putting them in and testing them. But what I've been doing is starting to plan out. I'm just going to turn off the PDC so we can see the inside a little bit better. We have the nose of the ship removed. You can see I've started laying out the cockpit here. I think I have... Is it that? No. Not there. Where is... I thought I had a model of a pilot. Maybe it's on the level below. In any case, I can also turn off this side bit there. So you can see what I'm thinking layout-wise for the cockpit. So it's not exactly a Notinante clone, for those wondering, but it is sort of a similar thing. So there'll be some screens in here. The ultimate layout's not completely finished. This is just what we call a block out. And then the miniature will be in on that. So that's the bridge section. Then we actually have... Hey, where'd that floor go? Maybe it's in other crap there. No? We have a level here that is dedicated to spacesuits. Okay, now I really want to know where that disappeared to, because we did have some models in here. Let's see, could it be there? No, there's docking collar. This is what happens when you have this massive amount of stuff. I wonder if I've opened the wrong thing. Simplify, maybe I could show it in, or Prusa Slicer. I'll get Prusa Slicer going. Alright, and if you guys have any questions in the chat, just let us know. Although I think we're quite by our lonesomes at the moment. Let's see, let's add this. And we need to reorient it. So this is what a lot of the week actually took up. So we have these suit containers. So when you see these sections here, that's what they are. I think I actually took out the models because they were so polygon heavy that it was really slowing down Maya. And that was leading to a bit of unpleasantness for me. Wait, didn't I have a references? Yeah,
Hey.
reference editor. There we go. I bet it can't find these.
Yeah, those are the ones you updated because you're working on the light tracking in there. I see for the posts.
Yeah. Hey John, thanks for stopping by. That's what's going on here. I think it's struggling to find the references because my Dropbox is probably slightly different. It's just Dropbox. So if I take that off.
Got a couple questions for John too, if he's going to be about. So.
Well, I don't know. I think it's going to stream himself, so I think he might have just popped in, popped out. So there's our pilot, and here is our, our suit. Okay, in the white there. So let's just go back up to the bridge for a second. Turn that off. And we wanted that one there. So you can sort of see that the seats are being designed to take these existing miniatures. There probably will be new ones for use with this. We have a new spacesuit. And then the level below we have, the spacesuits sort of fit into these lockers, like so.
But since John's going to be here for a second, let me ask him, Ben. John,
Okay.
I've been asked by a number of people that have heard about the software that we're working on or that you're working on, as to whether there will be an open beta and whether they can join an open beta, and they would like to know when, wherefore they can sign up for or participate in should such a thing become available. Is that something that we're doing, or what's the thought on that?
We have a limited beta at the moment. I don't know, John, if you want eventually to be pushing it out to more people. I'm guessing maybe so, but I'm not sure. We're looking at the middle of July for a version. Yeah. Well, we haven't discussed it exactly being tied to the Kickstarter itself, but certainly we wanted to have something that people can actually download when the Kickstarter is going. If it needs to be delayed until August, I think maybe we should open that up beforehand, depending on how far John's got.
We can talk about that later this week and then bring that up in the next show, so that's fine.
Yeah, we could do that.
Do that. That way you guys can work out the details on that, decide what you guys want to do for that, and then I can let people know.
Yay, more work.
The other question, yeah, John, the other question that was asked about the software is I've been asked repeatedly whether or not it will work on more than just the STLs that come with the package that for this for the ship product, which I think Ben's already answered yes, but just to confirm.
Yep. Well, since I ordered it, I can definitely confirm that that's the plan. Let's see.
In conjunction with, like, in the open beta, will it work with anything else? Maybe they're asking or something, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know nothing.
Yeah. Oh shit! I didn't copy that.
And the last question I was asked is, what are the minimum system requirements to use the software effectively? And when will we know?
That's a good question. Yeah. So by bundle creation, I'm sure John will also answer your questions, Orma. But by bundle creation, we mean the ability to, both on the producer side, if you're making STLs, to create your own bundles, but essentially there's a form of bundles that is essentially sharing deck plans, potentially. We haven't got it all hammered out. And a lot of the features of the program are going to also depend on how well we do at the Kickstarter. So the actual deck planner will have its own sort of tiers and stretch goals to be unlocked. I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, not everyone wants that, but the tools being... And I know there are other tools out there, they just don't do what I need them to do, which is why John and I have partnered. So Intel UHD with any dual core processor made post 2015. I think that's pretty generous, to be honest. There was also a polygon limit, wasn't there, John? Something like 750,000 or faces or triangles or something like that. I can't remember specifically.
The fourth question that I was asked was that if we have a physical limitation on the hardware and or features, will we have a Discord somewhere set up that basically has information and updates on the software? And the answer to that is yes, because if you go to the Discord above, that's Ben's Discord, linked up above in the second entry at the top, you will note a little Discord link there that will take you to the Discord, which then takes you to the deck viewer software. And over there, you can see a room in there where John talks to people, and then you can ask a question or put some details, and we'll try to put up some pinned information in that channel that has some of these questions that have been asked. I'll send an email or something to John, and he can post up something accordingly.
Yeah. And in theory, you guys should be able to combine different open lock or dragon lock products, anything that's sort of like on the same level, built to the same dimensions. And most of this is sort of like built to what I call D&D standards. 5 feet is 1 inch, so a 1 inch grid, if you will. And of course, when you actually print it out, you can scale it up. But this is going to also give you like print lists of exactly what you need to do the build. And my end goal is to, instead of having documentation that's based on me having, or at least having to render out every single step and instruction, which is tedious, takes a long time, and obviously makes it impossible for us to have instructions for every ship variant. We should be able to provide plans that have build layouts, default build layouts, for pretty much all of the ships eventually, and also possibly fan submitted designs, depending on exactly how far we reach with stretch goals and whatnot. But you guys are usually quite generous, and I'm sure you'll be keeping John busy for many months afterwards.
I think there was a discussion on maybe doing a contest on that too at some point.
Yeah, possibly. We my philosophy at the moment with the Notinante is to sort of like get it as good as I can get it. I've been very fortunate that my side business of selling my older designs has been successful during these Corona times, and that's just letting it mean, it basically means that instead of trying to stress out a design where all of the stretch goals are basically designed during the course of the campaign, that I might have a bit more time to put the quality in up the front. Hopefully it means quicker delivery as well. Test printing things usually means that, because I get the stuff on the printer and test it myself. Anyway, John, thanks for joining us for a little bit and answering some of those questions. Much appreciated. I'm not actually seeing anyone, but oh yeah, there we go. The list of viewers was down. So should I step back to the interior design of the ship?
Yes, sir, Ben, go ahead.
All right. So the airlock here has occupied the first part of my week. Just making these pieces took around about 3 days to do. I also created lower. I wouldn't say lower, but these models of the spacesuits, which are just a little bit easier to import, but it kind of bumped up my my file size from well, it was around about half a gig, 500 megabytes for this scene, and then putting the suits in, all of the pilots I had in there and all of the suits, it had put it to around about 4 gig. And when you have an incremental save, which saves out the Maya scene every 15 minutes, because Maya is, a bit of a bitch that crashes sometimes. 4 trillion triangle limit. Yeah, I don't know that anyone will hit that, but you'd be surprised with some of the more organic models. But in my case, yeah, I have. That's why I've only got one suit in here and one suit up there, because they're sucking up too much memory. So this is the airlock level. It's very much sort of after the Notinante. What you'll notice is the ladder wells, and in fact, if we bring back, I don't know if the bridge floor there is animated yet, but you can sort of see this lift that has a track that will go through. It's not completed that version yet, but I can show you how it works in the other. Yeah, there are these airlock doors to seal each level. They sort of move through the floor, so this will require some decent bridging or some internal, basically some internal supports from the ground, because we're going to have enough room to fit the doors through here. Sometimes you just can't avoid that sort of thing. And so these doors continue on all the way down into the cargo bay. We'll get to that in a minute. And then continue on even deeper than that. So here's the airlock level. So very much inspired by the Notinante there, where it's got some weapons and suits all around it. We could potentially do variants of this as a part of the stretch systems. Beneath that, we have the living quarters. These are what I'm currently working on. You can see I'm missing a few faces here, up around the corners. So this would be the officers' quarters. Oh, I don't know what's causing that intersection. I've got a double. Yeah, I had some extra geometry hidden in there. So yeah, you got a sort of bed there. I'm going to implement some maybe closet space. I was going to put a desk in this corner. You've got a refresher unit in the corner so that the captain has their own toilet. Crew, this will fit four bunks in there on this level. The next two levels are currently empty. We have the ladder well here, if we open it up just a little bit there. So this room will either be medical or a mechanic's bay, perhaps. Yeah, John, these all have like tons of working parts, which is something I'm really enjoying working with. I think it also makes it suitable not just for display, but I know some people even use them as toys. And if you scale it up, it's just going to be even more hardy. Like I said, these two levels, they're the ones with the PDCs on the side. So they go there, right? On these mountings. So yeah, two levels that are fairly open planned, which could be used for medical, science, or we'll probably have these fairly hot swappable. Because you could very easily swap these out by just removing the PDCs and having alternative interiors. You could extend them upwards as well. Then under that we have more living spaces. Now this I've only just begun to work with, so I'm probably going to have, if you imagine these floors removed, there'll be a wall there, a wall there, wall there, and wall there. So basically we'll have one cabin here, one there, and one there. And they'll fit 1 to 2 people each, depending. I'll probably have some that are bunks, and some that are just single beds. So like a small stateroom. Not sure what to do if there needs to be more bathrooms or not. I'm reading through the Expanse series, and it sounds like the bathrooms are very much. Yes, they have working showers if you're traveling under thrust. But it's not like cabins actually have them built into them normally. So yeah, that's where things are. It might be a communal sort of situation. So this should provide living for around about 10 to 12 people, which is about what they were talking about in the Expanse. The level below that is the cargo bay. Now this is actually finished now. It's also printed. The only thing I haven't tested is the lift system. Hey, Brazeveen. A wet room for sponge baths makes a lot of sense, right? Yeah, they do, but like if you've got nuclear rockets that can have continual thrust because of the mysteries of the Expanse universe, I don't think they explain. I know that they have some kind of nuclear fuel, but they don't quite explain how they can be under continuous thrust. In the TV show, they list, that there's a reactor that can work for 30 years, basically. So that might be an option to have a more traditional hard sci-fi. Hey, this guy's floating in space now. Nice. Something more resembling like the bathroom on ISS, which really would mostly look like a closet with a really funky pipe system. And basically a bunch of cupboards with storage for sponges and things. They of course can't have. Basically, water doesn't function the same way if in microgravity. So yeah, this airlock door comes down like this. At the moment, it's kind of loose, so I don't know if I might do a final version where there's some kind of hook or something that can sort of keep it up a bit better. it disappears into this deck below section. And so you have your normal cargo lift and ladder here, so that goes up to the top parts of the ship. It then switches out on the cargo deck. Actually, I can take the top deck off, and we're left with the lift here. If I just go back a little bit, you can see that here we have a seal. This comes open, lift comes up from stowage, then it goes down, and this is where we want to switch to the bottom of the ship, where we actually have, okay, never mind the fact that these are probably completely irradiated, let's pretend that they're not. And don't mind the clip here. It comes out, opens up, lift comes down. And this is currently working. Let me... Okay, so let's see if the camera works. And you get to see how shitty I am at trying to coordinate things. So let's see. This works-ish. It's better than before. So here are the lower 3 decks. You can see the ladder well there. And let me see if I can angle that right. See all the way to the bottom there. And on the underside, there's this little hatch. And it just slots closed like so. Rather nice. So the lift will be separate. And you guys can see on the on my Instagram and Facebook and that social media, I have some updates with pictures of like a miniature. I haven't printed the lift yet, but this is the same design that I've used in the scout ship, so I know it works. Works rather well. And it also is the same sort of rail system that the PDCs use. So I don't know if I'd call it slow progress. I haven't designed the interior of engineering yet. It's basically open with not much going on. The reason for this being that the lighting systems are coming this week. So I just want to design parts so that it'll be an option if you want to. You can you can actually choose to put some lighting in here. There'll be a nuclear reactor in the middle with some sort of sections going off it. There's no actual way to access this at present in the ship. That is currently by design. I don't know if I'll make a version where that you can sort of get through, but basically the reactor somewhere where you'd want sealed off for the most part with a ton of lead. So yeah, that's basically where things are at the moment. And then what the piece I'm actually currently working on is both down here, but deck
Well,
3.
The light kits that he's talking about. I worked on getting set up and developed, and you'll be able to purchase if you want a pre-built wired kit or setup kit that'll come in a baggie that you can just install, put in a little coin cell, and it will power it. Ben hasn't done that kind of development before, and I haven't integrated something like this with this style of model before, but I've done it with other models, which I've shown in some of the boards that I go to. So we're working on putting that together as a team, and it's a newer step, and I think offering it to you guys so you guys can play around with that sort of thing on an entry level is what we're looking to do. Those kits are something that might be a stretch goal to get more elaborate ones or more complicated stuff, but we're going to put at least some basic lighting in by design available for like engine lights and like some stuff up in the control room, some basic stuff like that. How elaborate will depend on what people really want to get into and probably some votes that'll happen later.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm trying to imagine where people might want lights and kind of create the infrastructure so that, like you saw in the airlock level, we actually have some open areas here with some pegs where you could just run wires along and through here. The idea being that you could get a light above each suit and you could stuff a coin cell battery in here along the side to sort of take care of that. So basically, and then I'll probably provide pieces where you could just put a little hatch on top of that to cover it up if you wanted to cover it up, which obviously you would want to do if you just don't want the light bleeding. So all the stretch goals would be dances that I do. I'm not a very good dancer, so I'm going to rely on my actual skill set. So yeah, that I'm really looking forward to the lighting. We have some very cool stuff that we're looking into, um, such as these screens which have come. So they're tiny little LCD screens, and it'll just be a case of like, if you want to put more money and effort into your ship so it looks better, you'll have options basically. Otherwise, I'll probably just do a simple model version if you want it to be static. But these are pretty cool. I'm looking forward to testing them. They're about an inch LCD screens. They come programmed with 21 sci-fi animations. So in theory, should be really great. Primarily designed for
They're a
Lego.
pre-built, pre-programmed kit. No Arduino, nothing fancy. Just just pop it in and wire a positive and negative pole to a battery, and there you go. So it's very simple, but they are pricey.
About
But
70 US bucks each
yeah,
or something like
depends
that.
what you want. It comes from like a Lego brick kit thing that we found. So, but we might do more elaborate Arduino self-programmable setup if people are interested in that, which I would do, and I would help people get that stuff doing if that's something it turns out to be a desire.
Yeah. I'm finding I'm getting kind of fixated on details like the beds here. I'm just like, well, you could have a little light in the top of the bed, and you can kind of. You guys might not be able to see it as well, but there's like this indentation here where I actually did have a light in the past, or rather a texture that created a light, and so I could have this hole there, and you sort of like get a light for the position here for above the bed in the captain's room. Um, I was looking today to maybe just I've got some furniture from Starship 4 that I was looking at repurposing for the captain's quarters, or this crew room. Basically, they've got some very simple stowage here for their gear. It's just basically one drawer. Technically, if you were on a spaceship, though, you're going to use alternate parts kind of deal. One, yeah. That would be the idea, John. Usually, and we did test that in the Chimera. I did a screen that has a grim light in it, but the grim lights, while small, are super fragile. The magnetic light switching also can easily, like, they require a super magnet, and anyone who's played with them knows that they can easily blow lights, and yeah, all kinds of nasty stuff. So
Yeah,
we're looking for a more robust solution.
yeah, those things are just not as easy as the kits we're doing this time. Definitely not.
Yeah. So that's the idea. Long term, we were talking about maybe figuring out ways to use, conducted PLA and all of this other stuff, but it just feels like too complicated for a first sort of attempt. So that's where we're at with that at present. I was just today filling in a couple of details. So we've got these like radio systems that I'll probably stick on the wall. Maybe a little bit more three-dimensional signage to sort of make it feel. I'm adding these handles, for example. So you've got some handholds in case you're at 0G. Just trying to figure out where to put one over here. and that's kind of like the idea with the ladder well as well. You've got the actual ladder down here, but you've also got these handholds throughout, and they sort of like allow passage of the lift and each deck to be sealed off. The part of Star Trek that bugged me was that how the captain had a giant room, then another ready room. So much wasted space. Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. But that was, I think they have super technology that can explain away a lot of that. Here we don't, so it's very much more like a sort of military ship. I was thinking of adding in also the in the Expanse you can see them using gravity seats, so that any crew member that's not strapped in like the bridge has to sort of get out of their bed or strap into their bed and take drugs basically to keep their body from for sustained thrust of 4 to 10 G, which is like would wreak havoc on the human body without some help, and you can't stay conscious basically. So that's why you see scenes in the Expanse where they're getting pumped with chemicals to keep them awake, so that they can do a high G burn, and they have trouble pressing buttons and that sort of thing because of the intense gravitational effects. So yeah, just a couple of handholds in there. Now this is what I like to talk about all the time, where it's the details that actually create believability in the scene that you're making. So these handholds, having control panels, a little bit of marking off areas. Where is it? The captain's must be on. Wait, is this the same version? I must have changed that. I did have a version this morning where there's like a little a plate here with a plaque letting you know that you would have the captain's name or something in the plaque. I might have to put that back in. All right, John, thanks for joining us. I've changed the doorways here because these were creating bridging issues, so now it's just a separate piece that slots in, held in place by gravity. I've done that on the shuttle, worked great. This is a little bit less sophisticated, a little bit smaller, so I'll have to see how it prints. But that's kind of the phase we're at. Yeah. What else were we going to deal with, Zorima?
The wrap up of your previous project, the long transport. We're going to show the finished status of that, or the finished thing, and where they could get that.
Yeah. I haven't had the time to actually get it completely finished though, so.
If they were going to pick that up, it would be available and maybe somewhere. Where would that be?
Well, we'll put it up as a free update, and you'll be able to get that on my mini factory. So I'll maybe do that when I'm finished here. It's going to take me. I guess I could look into it, but basically
work on it now. Fine, Ben. We want to make sure we at least provide a link to people at that's all. I mean, if it's going to be on my mini factory, that's cool. I'll go ahead and post that to the end of the video or something. We can do that when we get done.
Yeah. Hey, Chris. Welcome back. Yeah. Essentially, I've kind of been focusing on what my actual job is at the moment to get this out. The other one is a bonus. I do need to put another hour or two into it to get it to be where I want it to be at, print wise. At the moment, you might notice I'm sweating a bit. It's 29 degrees Celsius, about 85 degrees Fahrenheit in here at the moment. I got the printer going. It's slowly creeping up 0.1 of a degree every 10 or 15 minutes. Normally at this time of year, I work in the evenings when things cool down a little bit. And Sweden and its summers seem to be getting a bit hotter for some reason, oddly enough. Also, today is a Friday, and I have an appointment with quite a few beers later. So probably not going to show it off today, uh, but but definitely over the weekend, especially if we get some inclement weather. Um, so I think we'll have to wait with that link, but yeah, it will be available for anyone that's already got the long transporter. It'll just be an addition to that. So I'll just do a free update. You'll be able to get uh, the top bit, but of course those parts will require that you have.
Okay, so if you
Um,
watch those three previous shows and are looking for that update, it's not finished yet, but it will be out, and we will try to post to those videos or a link on the main page on Twitch to show where you can pick that up later.
that's right.
Um, that'll be the best place to put it, probably, Ben. Is put it on the Twitch page somewhere. Put a link there to say, hey, this is where you can get that shows. You know,
Yeah, yeah, that's a good
that way
idea.
it needs to be found. That they don't have to dig through like every video to find it. The other thing that was I guess the next thing we got, see here, I've got on my checklist. We got questions on software. We got the Kickstarter start date for the new Kickstarter. When are we going to actually start publishing that Kickstarter?
Yeah, this is the big thing that I don't 100% know at the moment because I've kind of backed myself into a bit of a corner. One, that this has become a more complicated build than I expected it to be, in part because of the difference in shape of the Notinante compared to my previous ship. So, a lot of the new materials, yeah, there's some remixes, but they take a lot more time. So, I'm behind, for one thing. But on top of that, I'm also behind with. I'm getting it printed and painted in the UK, and they haven't been able to start with the painting yet. So I've gone from now, it should have been out now, to halfway through July, to maybe now we're into August, depending on things. But I think, yeah, it's a longer wait to get there, but it might be worth waiting until August just so that I can do the best job possible. We can get it all painted up, interior, exterior, the lighting all working well. Mickey from Docus is working next week on the scenery to create a sort of diorama that should recreate, in a sense, the landing of the Rocinante on Ilum in season 4 of The Expanse. And I myself am looking forward to every campaign I do. I'm always saying to myself, damn, I should have waited, I should have done the interior, it should all be ready, because that day one hype is really really necessary. But the other thing too is that it's actually quite draining to do a Kickstarter campaign. My wife is meant to take summer holidays, we're meant to go away for a bit, and if I run the campaign in the middle of July, I'm going to end up doing that whilst we're supposed to be on holidays. So family comes first, which is also a reason why I'm probably leaning towards doing it in August, just so that it can have my full focus.
We're saying probably the first week of August.
Somewhere around then.
Okay, so not in July.
No, I think it would be mid-August in that case. So, yeah.
Mid-August, roughly. Mid-August is the current shoot date.
But what I will do is keep the pledge manager open for Starship 4. So if anyone wants to get in on the Chimera scout ship, Transport Delta, or Shuttle Alpha with the Kickstarter add-ons and that sort of thing, it'll be open a lot longer. So you'll be able to get access to those Kickstarter goodies instead of having to fork out for individual items.
I think if you buy that Kickstarter, the Kickstarter 4, there's like depending on what package deal you got, when we do the new packages for the Kickstarter 5, there's a discount. There's going to be one that you can get
an upgrade pledge. Yeah,
it's an upgrade pledge, so you won't have to pay as much to get more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this time we're gonna price point wise, this ship is going to be between 30 and 40 US dollars. The $40 version, including the John's wonderful software with the deck planner, and then there'll be some kind of upgrade pledge that's slightly cheaper, which is designed to reward people that have already invested in my stuff. So that you'll also have options where if it comes time for the campaign and you're like, shit, Corona, don't have the funds, you can drop $10 or something, even less, and be able to pick up the pledge manager later on, basically reserving a sort of place for that. So no need to worry about missing out.
Yeah, and there'll probably be a separate pledge level for like lighting kit, like a total package or something to that like that.
Oh yeah, that would be on top of the basics. So
that won't be a basic $40 thing.
yeah, no, it would be an add-on, and we're talking about. But basically, I'd be working with Zorama, and I wouldn't be delivering those parts. That we haven't discussed exactly how it would work yet, but obviously that's going to require some actual shipping, and that's not something I'm willing to handle. But fortunately, I have nice partners that are willing to take a look into that sort of thing. So, and essentially, it'll just get you to be able to. I mean, you'll be able to source lights and build them yourself if you already know how to do this sort of stuff. But these kits will be for idiots like me who really don't know what they're doing when it comes to lighting, and yeah, generally that's the idea.
Like an example would be like an engine kit that will be like the engine motor housing kit for the external lights of the engine, and
Yep.
it'll put like say 5 lights on it, one for each motor, and it'll have a mount in it and a coin cell in it, be pre-wired and everything, and it'll just come in a little baggie. And all you have to do is pop the LEDs into the little sockets, and then wrap the wire around the wire post, and plug your battery in and put it in the compartment, and you're done. That's it. That'll be the total package, and there'll be a switch that you can turn it off and on as well, included in that with that wiring setup.
Yeah, and the coin cell batteries are quite common all over the world, quite standardized. So
More elaborate
go.
wiring packages if you're into that or you want that, or other available packages that we could do depending on demand and what people want to do. Because a small coin cell is generically used available, like you said, everywhere pretty much. But if you wanted like a lighting kit that was going to last a lot longer, then we could make those arrangements. So that's fine. Anyway, that's kind of more my area, which is why I'm bringing it up. Sorry.
It is indeed, and if it wasn't for Zorama's expertise, I just wouldn't be doing it this time around. So it all gets to be a bit too much.
If you're interested, go to the Discord. There is a section in there known as lighting, where you can ask questions about the lighting setup in particular, and it will also show some of the things people have done, characteristics, talking about different polarities and volt questions and all kinds of garbage. So there's even a little flashlight project in there. If you're interested, you can download it and print your own 3D printable flashlight with standard parts that are also listed in the pinout. It has a conductive PLA flashlight where you don't need to have any actual metal parts, or any switches. You can just click it and it will turn flashlight off and on.
Yeah, I have one around here somewhere, but I can't remember where I put it. I'm so disorganized. Unfortunately,
the idea was so that show people how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, because of Corona, my my colleague Lisa Lott is working from home, so she's usually the one that keeps me on top of things. Anyway, I think this week we might keep it just a little bit shorter. Did we have some more questions there?
The only other question I had was, will there be availability of kits or modifications or mods, a couple variants of that question, for Warhammer 40K stuff? And I had basically told people that asked me this, and Ben, correct me, that because of GDW's licensing rules, we're not making anything that we're selling that fits that, but we would be happy to support someone making their own or help them with the basic information they need to do it. I don't know whether Ben might want to do something with that later, but we'd have to talk about licensing with somebody like GDW if we're going to do 40K stuff.
Are they talking about like interior design as well, or are they just talking about?
Well, for example, if you took a suit of their powered armor for a Space Marine, you stuck it in that rack, they would blow a gasket about that. They would not be happy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what could be done instead is you could scale that up. There will be empty versions So basically,
Drone.
the limits of what I could do is create. If I had a 3D model of a space marine, I could design something that it could slot into, but I could not provide the actual space marine. I know, yes, you can get lots of bootleg STLs and that sort of thing, but I'm a small business. Games Workshop has acted litigious in the past, and it's in their rights to do so. So I just basically don't want to walk the line any more than I actually do. Even this concept, the Notinante, it's a little bit cheeky, but it's designed to be a ship that looks like it exists in the Expanse universe without specifically
Well,
breaking any
easy.
copyrights.
It kind of follows a basic tech theme. They would not be hard to basically make modifications to make it compatible with Kill Team or various other Warhammer 40K type setup, and that's going to be available for something like this. But actually, like designing wall mounts, like with bolter pistols in it or stuff like that, no, someone would have to personally make that.
You could, I mean, the actual bulkheads and that, technically, and this is a
Yeah.
technically, I could do like gothic futuristic style terrain or ship that's not specifically a Games Workshop model.
That has
However, as I just mentioned, I've spent 3 months on this ship, so having a variant to change the style of it to 40k, I think that would require more like if you wanted to add some additional set dressing to make it look a little bit more in line with the 40k universe. But I don't have plans to make it specifically sort of neo futuristic gothic steampunky style at the moment. I might do a ship like that in the future, but I'd need to see a great level of interest from.
Which basically, if you're interested in that and really want to promote the idea, what you should do is come to Ben's Discord, go to the suggestions area, and post up that you saw the video and that you would like to have something like that done, and make your suggestions on what that might look
Yeah,
at, you would want to see in it or that sort of thing.
and the
And then,
best way to make me think that a suggestion is something that people are interested in is if you look at other suggestions that are made there, like those suggestions, or add an emoji, and hopefully people will continue to add emojis if they like that idea, and it'll give me an indication of, okay, well, we've got 15 people here that think that this idea is good. That might represent 10% of the people that normally back that are also on the Discord, and maybe that means that there's 150 people that like it, and then it's like, well, okay, well, I can look into doing a 3 month project or something like that in the future.
it's kind of like how this particular project took shape in the form it's in. It's because a lot of people were talking about vector thrust ships because of the show and other things going on, and Ben liked the idea because it was a different challenge, so it got picked up, and that's what happened. There's a group of guys that were talking about making some kind of like D&D spelljammer kind of thing, and then he started linking up from different projects and all that kind of stuff out there. I champion myself, but that's not in his normal theme of what he makes, so it's maybe not the right thing either. So, point is that ideas are welcome, bring them, and they can be thought about.
That's right. And I usually do send out the occasional questionnaire for my backers to sort of get an idea about what people are looking for and what direction to take it in. At the end of the day, I'm trying to run a business, and basically the market dictates what I create. So we'll have to see how well this ship goes. It's a bit of a gamble because I was sticking to more like the Star Warsy style designs, or something that's on a smaller scale. This ship got a bit big.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think for the size in which work you're putting into it for this one, but I think that's okay. I know the other ship was a little more pricey because it was a lot of work too, because a total redesign too.
yeah, I mean, the other thing too is the Chimera. The big mistake I made was by making the vanilla version of that just this big long log. And really, when it started shining when I did the Pathfinder, when I did when I did engine modifications, so you could change the silhouette of it greatly, and it felt a lot more like it belonged to a galaxy far, far away. So that's also the reason why I want to get this ship fully done, fully painted, photographed nicely. Just make sure it's a good, solid design, and this will also mean that 2 weeks after the Kickstarter concludes, you guys will get access to the files that I made to print them out. They're already ready to go. The only thing that I might have to make is some documentation. But hopefully, the deck planner will help with that. So, you know what,
Okay.
guys? I think
The last question I have here on my list was to basically, there was, but I kind of answered that at the beginning, is links on where to buy stuff. If you look at the top of the very beginning of this recording, you'll find in the very first entries under my name, Zormer, a couple links to various places and where to find the products that you can pick things up and look through what's available.
that's
My
right.
manufactory, Ben's webpage, all that sort of stuff is all listed up there, as well as the Discord and the link to join. And that's the list of questions I got, Ben.
Okay, I'm sweating my ass off here, so we're going to sign off for today. I'm going to see if I can get a couple more hours in, but more than anything, I'm looking forward to opening the door and maybe getting a cross breeze going in here. Thanks for joining us. Those of you that didn't make the live stream, I hope you got something out of the video on YouTube. Thanks again, Zorima, for joining us, and we should be back next Friday. Feel free to make suggestions on the Discord for the content for those, be it more work on the Notinante or a smaller project like we've been doing. We're discussing openable cargo as a possibility. Yeah, guys, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later. Bye, guys.